your story has kind of seen the growth of soccer in the US, like through your entire, from playing to coaching. And you talked a lot about how the community soccer programs, your club team was really important in your development to like how you played, how you ended up coaching and all that. So I guess, what do you think is the state of community soccer programs now? It can be in this area overall. And I guess where do you think there needs to be changes, how it needs to be improved, and like what level of US soccer as like a national organization needs to help locally to kind of build it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess maybe start with some positive, right?
Right.
So the development of youth soccer. Yes, we didn't make the World Cup, but the first World Cup was what, 86 in Italy, and it was hosted here in 94, and then a big thing was US soccer were now better than Mexico. Well, and yes, both teams win, but I have talked to Mexican friends who were like, that was the worst day of their lives, right? and it really is. Like, I was in Mexico talking to people, and they're like, oh, like that was the one thing they had on us, But so we have gotten better. So I think you have to say that. We talked a little bit about, my dad knew nothing of soccer. What's funny about my dad is he started playing in an over 35 league because he liked watching me play so much.
Wow.
So that's kind of a cool thing that came from all of this, right? He's at a cocktail party, and literally he comes to me before a game and he's like, hey, can you show me how to play soccer? I got to go play. I'm like, okay, Dad. So we passed it like 3 times. He's like, thanks, and goes and plays. He played pickup probably till he's 70 years old. So so that's really cool. But so that family part, John knows my son. We watch games together. We're the exact same person, right? We don't say a word except cussing, right? And that's it. But there's no reason for us to even be together, right? But we watch together. We just love it. But it's like a beautiful thing. So we have evolved. Women's soccer, tremendous, right? But is it? Is that because of money? But I think that you have to respect, and John, I know every day we live this. Totally respect all women that play soccer.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. So my senior year was the first year they had girls soccer in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I loved it, right? It's like so cool, right? I'm like, oh, Lance, show me this, and it was just great. It's so cool to see them playing. And they had never really played, right? So, but I loved it at Whitman. When Dave's like, stay and watch the girls' game, they're better than you, right? And the boys, and that's a Dave Green thing, right? And the boys did, and nothing but respect. Same thing with Richmond. Huge fan of the girls' team at Churchill. Nothing but respect. Your team, we would scrimmage those girls' teams. Nothing but respect for that. And I think that's a pretty amazing, beautiful thing, right? To go from my sister, a tremendous athlete, having no organized sports to play, which is really sad. I mean, she's a good athlete, right? She's 5 years older than me. Nothing. She played softball 1 year or something, right? She had no organized sports to play. So Title IX, all that. So we have to give ourselves some credit for all of that. So I do think that, men respect women's soccer, and that's a really big deal. I love NWSL, John, we have quite a few of the Spirit players come by ATD.
Yeah. Camps and stuff like that.
And Andy Sullivan, I mean, just so impressive.
And she was such a cool person, down to earth person. So good.
So impressive. Such an impressive human being, And like, I didn't even think she'd remember me, right? She's like, hey, Lance, like, oh, wow. Like, she's a nice person. Like, she's a very nice person. So that, I think, is awesome, right? More girls playing soccer in the U.S. than boys. I think that's a factual statement.
Look at our camps. Look at our ATD camps. It's a proof.
Yep. Now, I think when we say more playing, and Raphael, this kind of gets a little bit to U.S. soccer.
Right.
So one thing I did hear once was the rest of the world actually really respects U.S. soccer for the U.S. in us, which is we're organized, right? So we have more registered soccer players, of course, than any country in the world. So when you say more girls are playing than boys, it's more registered.
Right.
What I'm getting to are Latino communities, poor communities. These kids aren't registered, right?
Right.
And probably, and I don't mean to stereotype or generalize or whatever, probably more boys playing there than girls in some of those communities. That's been a slower shift, I think. But so gotta give ourselves some credit for being very organized, because it's what we Americans do, right? And I think for girls soccer, those are two things. And we have to have some patience, because it is generational, right? I always joke, I used to say with my son Richmond, like, oh, you should have played ice hockey. And he's like, Dad, you had me on the bench at Whitman games. Like, that guy's really gonna play ice hockey. He's like, you're full of shit. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It sucks when your kid's smarter than you. But so he's experienced that. What are his kids gonna do? They're gonna play soccer. His kid's gonna play soccer, right? I mean, and the second they're born, what am I gonna buy those kids? The second they can walk, they're gonna be kicking a ball. Work on your opposite foot. Every mistake I made. So I think there's a lot of good, and some of it has to be patience. But I think some of the things that we're struggling with would be talent identification, where are all the best players, and then the pay-to-play model. So if we go to Montgomery County, somebody said something very smart to me. I actually would like to know your guys' opinion. Why not do it through the schools? Now, I'm kind of a less government guy. Let's not get into politics, John. But but I think for the benefit of everybody, and you guys tell me, right? Because we're talking about different communities, right? And you guys are younger, so you more recently experienced it. Why wouldn't school be from 9 to 5 and the after-school program be part of the school? And to me, should be all sports. Now, it can be all music for that kid that plays the violin. It should be good. And then we work for the schools.
That is very, very interesting.
Because then you have a base. And then by junior high school, a Silver Spring, the Blair area is soccer. Whitman area, swimming. Germantown, basketball. And those kids that are academy level players.
Okay, I see it.
At the youth level, at the elementary school level, throw the ball out and let them play.
Yeah.
That's it. And if they stand around the corner and they don't play, okay, they're not players, right? What are they interested in? Is it music? Is it this? Is it that? Because there's a total lack of arts in schools too. Soccer for us is what makes me happy, but it could be music. It can be art. It can be whatever. And I respect for all those things, right? But something that's not just hardcore academics, but robotics, whatever it is they're into, I don't care. It's all good.
And I feel like with that, we kind of have like a system for talent and identification in that sense. Because now, we have this program, linked with school, but this kid is like really good, and we're like, all right, you got to go somewhere. You got to go to the academy level. You got to, But if you like,
and you're given the choice. You're given the choice, right? Maybe that kid's a rock star, often the case, right? Basketball player and soccer. Okay, keep doing both until whatever, and that's where we have to figure it out. I'm a big fan of multi-sports, not going singular, but by wherever age you want to say, 9th grade, 10th grade, maybe 7th grade, depending, people have different opinions. All right, you're going to the soccer academy, the basketball academy, make up your mind. You don't have to do either, but don't think you're going to it in 3 years, because those kids are going to pass you by. Yeah. So I think the school system would be the perfect place for it, because every kid goes to school, we hope, right?
That's like the most.
Also, think about the kids' excitement to go to school, right? Quite frankly, the beginning, you talk especially with elementary school, the kids should be exercising before school starts to take all that energy out of them, right? So John, another program I would love to do is 6 a.m, be at every freaking elementary school, right? And how much would teachers love you and take all that energy out of you? I know how I was. It would have been good for me to get an hour of stuff out of me before I went and sat in the classroom trying to learn, right? But so I think the school system would be a tremendous way to attack it. Now, we can't control that. Things we could do, you know, the U.S. Soccer Foundation's in Washington, D.C.
Really?
Yeah. And that was established in '94 when the World Cup came here. And they give all sorts of grants. So my next thought would be to do something through MSI, you know, and we've talked about that. MSI is losing players left and right. So the big problem with the pay-to-play model is people are making money now. Once people make money, they're not giving it up. So you know, you don't just go to that guy who's making 130 grand coaching soccer. Hey, yeah, go coach at that school. No. What? To do that? So that's always a really hard thing to reverse once people have money, right? MLS. You think you're going to take those teams away? Do you think they're going to have relegation? Really? Good try. Good try. And in some ways, you can't blame them. That does not make them greedy, awful people. This model should have never been set up that way, right? But MSI would be the perfect place to do it through, to me, the thing to do, John, is recruit coaches, right? You come work for us. You're a young guy, whether you're a college graduate or not. Every year, bringing in Roy Dunshee. He'll do it for half price, or he'll do it because we'll have 60 people there. We'll have the volume. And you now have your C license at no cost to you. And you're 21 and you've never been to college, right? You're just a young kid. You can make a living. You can make a living right now. Make a living. Absolutely. Right? You know, and I would love that. Yeah, go make a living, but you have to give us 2 days a week for this long, or whatever it is, you know. So, and we talked about it. So it's Doug, Doug Schuessler, very good point. It has to be sustainable. Right? It can't be that Raphael, John, and Lance are really passionate about it and they kill themselves and do this for 3 years, and then we move on to life, other things, and it falls apart. So, you know, what could U.S. Soccer do in the communities? That's a hard one, right? It's a big country. How could they possibly know what community to reach into? And yes, they can look at, you know, different ethnicities and income levels and, you know, understand that. But is that really for them to do? Or is it for the community to do and bring something to it? You know, I don't really want to bash U.S. Soccer. I mean, how could they? But I know that the U.S. Soccer Foundation gives a lot of money. I know that Montgomery County gives a lot of money. And John, I know I was telling you when I was on MSI's board, kids get in the most trouble between 2:30 and 5. Right after school, you get together with 6 of your buddies. What are you going to do? Nothing good. Right? And that's why I thank God I had soccer. As it was, I got in a lot of trouble. If I didn't have soccer, I don't want to know. But so those after school programs, and again, there's a lot of people making a lot of money on after school programs. They're not going to give up that. So, but that is the time. And that's where, you know, it would be great. Get them at a soccer field. Like I use Watkins Mill as an example. Right. Whatever community it is, sit at that middle school and be like, you get a grant from U.S. Soccer, get some Montgomery County money, like a 10-year program or something.
Nice, real quick. You know, so we're segueing right into the next question, which, you know, you talked about, you know, kids get into trouble between 2:30 and 5, and I completely agree with you because I've lived it. I've had friends, you know.
I mean, and you saw some dudes fall off the track, right?
Yeah, I have.
Right, you know, some guys that you played with, and so did I, by the way. Where and off the track can mean different things, but you know, there's some very sad stories out there of kids that weren't that different than you and I.
And so my next question to you would be, is actually, what are some of the benefits, you know, of you know, having more of these communities, of having more of these programs that we're talking about in, you know, in minorities community, like Latino and Black, more Latino and Black communities. What are some of the benefits of having, you know, maybe not like, you know, we're not saying, oh, they're going to go pro, but having some of these like structured programs, you know, we're talking about having after school program linked to school. What are some of the benefits, you know, in terms of, you know, of them maybe going to college or them now maybe doing better in school? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Right. I mean, I don't want to say you can answer that better than me, but you seriously, you live that, right? You know, and your community was Jim Hayner and Russ and me and Bill Kettercutt. What did that do for you? Like a ton, you know, like, first of all, a big part of it for me was, wow, these adults, they care about me, right? And it wasn't just, oh, if you're not a good soccer player, we're going to never the case with me.
I was a baller. You know, I was a baller. Put it out there. You know,
we allowed you to stay on as water boy, John. Right?
Watching you a scout.
But you know, look, we all have, you know, different things with the male role models in our lives.
Yeah.
I think very important for boys. It's important for girls too, but it's a different relationship. You know, but I've had this conversation with a lot of women. I'm like, you don't understand what a dad means to a son. Like, we don't understand it. Like, to this day, I don't understand. My dad's dead. I still don't understand, you know, everything I went through in my life with that man, right? Because he was kind of a cold guy and this and that. And, you know, you work through that relationship. So having other male role models, I think, is huge, huge, huge. And particularly in these communities where often maybe there's no male role model, right? So, you know, I think, and just somebody caring, period. So yeah, the value is, I mean, it's amazing if you think if these kids had that. So one is not just, oh, you're killing that time and they're not doing something bad, but they're not doing something bad.
Right? Sure, I agree.
Right away. And that's a win for society. That's a win for police. That's a win for their parents. That's a win for the school, and across the board, right? I mean, I had cops chasing me when I was in junior high. Like, you know, that's not what they should be doing, right? They shouldn't be chasing us for breaking windows or stealing hubcaps or whatever it is that we did, you know? Should be out there playing soccer. So I think, but then also just that you are doing something progressive, you get better at it, and a sense of accomplishment. Right? How much accomplishment does anyone feel as a child? You know, you don't get it so much unless you're really academically inclined from your classwork. I didn't put it that way. You know, so I think it's just massive, and it could just kind of reverse a negative trend of the bad you're going to get into. You know, and John, you and I talked about it, right? I haven't met your mom. But if we had a program that was really inexpensive, I still think people should pay something, you know, not a full scholarship, but just something to have something in the game. But if you misbehaved for 3 days and you were a total jerk and you were kicked out of that program, what would your mom do?
I don't want to know. Mom, I don't want to know.
You've been homeless, right? You know,
I would have been a choice to be homeless. It would be like, all right, I'm out. I know.
And I don't want to generalize or stereotype, but I laugh because any Latino or I'll say African parent who's ever come up to me says, you're too nice to them. Work him harder. Like, they're my favorite parents. I'm like, okay, thank you. I've never had anything but their backing. You know, not to be, but just to be firm with those kids. And they're right? In our fluffy little world, in some places, that's not what you hear. So I respect that about those communities. Your mom loves you. Your mom cares. She's got a lot going on though, right? You know?
She knew where I was. I think she was a single mom, just like your mom, you know, and
right. Yep.
she was working the majority of the time. So now she knows, all right, even though I'm working, I know this kid is with Lance and Jim at practice. You know, I used to take the metro, and Jim used to pick me up, or you used to pick me up, and go to take me to practice, and then drop me off. And when I get home late, I gotta take a shower, do my homework, and such. So now,
right. Yep. And that, you know, idle time is the worst. Middle school, junior high, and I'll say particularly us boys, right? Idle time is the devil, Like it is the devil. And I still kind of think that to this day, you know, stay busy, because otherwise nothing good happens. Nothing good happens. So yeah, but you know, in credit to you, you hopped on the metro. You cared enough to do that. And I used to get so pissed at those kids that would be late and they were walking over from Jim's house.
Yeah, I remember.
John's been on a fucking train and he's on the field and you're late. Man, I love screaming at Jamil. Because he'd try to argue with me. I'm like, really? It's gonna be a long day, my friend. It's gonna be a long day. So, yeah, so it's it's unbelievable. But I mean, I think we should, you guys, or we can put together a group, but absolutely talk to the U.S. Soccer Foundation. I've got to think right now things are really quiet.
Yeah.
It's kind of the perfect time to work on something, and start a pilot program at one middle school, and have 3 elementary schools come there, and you're in this program. You know, this one would be soccer only, but maybe then we get a musical person.
What's the lowest entry point? What is the I mean, because when we talk about this, it's so easy to say, oh, we can do this, but it's not
It's hard, right?
What's the lowest, in your opinion, just what is the lowest entry point to this too?
So
I know it's tough.
It's tough. It would be getting, say, even several of us to, quite frankly, volunteer 1 day a week.
Right.
Yep, one elementary school. Like, hey, we're going to be out here. John and I have Mondays. We're going to be here. Tuesdays, Matt and Andrew have. Wednesdays, Kukapa and whoever have, and we can take this many kids. It's not going to be that many. It might be 1st and 2nd grade kids that want to come. And you do some skills work with them and let them play. And some of that's babysitting, quite frankly, right? And that's something that we could do right away, But you got to get licensed. Anytime you enter the school realm, there's a lot of bureaucracy.
Especially around Montgomery County, it's so difficult. It's so
difficult. Now they will give you money, but another one, and that's another one, John, would be summer programs. That's why I've always loved summer camp. Why? Because it's all good. Volume. I can take that kid for free. I can take that kid for $5. That kid for $10. No problem. They behave, right? So you can scholarship away for summer programs. Kind of the more kids you have, the merrier. I'd rather have 50 kids at a camp than 30. So to me, summer programs are just and there's no refs. You're not cutting kids. There's not playing time. So, I'm a huge one with ATD, right? Was it $350 the kids could come to 8 weeks of camp? 40 days of camp for $350. Pretty good deal, right?
Even worse than when you had Van Winter soccer, 250 for a week. Now you do 250 for 8 weeks.
Just for ATD members, today only. But but even with Jim Hayner, I mean, a lot of guys came to camp for very little money.
And how do you feel about it? Because sometimes I feel a certain type of way that, I know the culture is different here than in a lot of countries, but I almost feel like I have to beg people to come. It's like, ATD only. I'm bringing down the price. Come on, guys. This is. I almost feel like, I'm like.
I think it's a few things. One, people aren't the soccer freaks that we are.
That's actually.
Every time I go to do a program, right? Like, so this fall, I'm like, I want to do high school prep. I want to do 4 locations, 5 days a week in the morning. Why? They're not going to come, right? Yeah. But the other one is people are really surprised when you're nice. People are always shocked when they're like, oh, wow, this is great. Anybody that's come to Van Winter Soccer Camp or ATD camp. I had a woman the other day, like I just knew her barely in passing, and she's like, oh, Diana's mom. Remember Diana from last summer? Nice player.
Oh, Diana, yes, I remember.
Yeah. She had the little brother that's a nice player. that mom's like, man, she still talks about that camp. She had so much fun with it. You know, because the culture we created at that camp, everybody likes each other. The younger kids know the older kids, the boys know the girls. And again, the big word to me in soccer is community, right? And I do wish MSI did more there, right? MSI does a lot of good things. Their rec program is priced properly. They help people out with the farms, the free and reduced meal program. I mean, it makes it $40 to play a season. Kid gets a jersey, which that's a big deal. Like, you know that, right? I mean, a lot of the kids with money don't understand that. A kid wearing a jersey, his family going to a game, and that kid being in a uniform is massive. People don't understand the pride that people take in that, as they should. Is there anything better than wearing a uniform? Nothing better.
My varsity uniform, it was crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean seriously, it brings a tear to your eye. Like, you know, put on your high school jerseys, a big deal. It's a big deal. Now it's a big deal to me, you know, but then for people that couldn't afford to buy that jersey, I mean that's an amazing thing, you know, and that's a sense of pride. I mean that's huge. That's something you never forget. So yeah, but yeah, it's so hard. I mean, to answer the question, I don't know what U.S. Soccer could do, right? I mean, they have that foundation. They'll give you money, but you're going to have to figure a lot out.
So you think it's something that, you know, it's not, I'm not going to say it's, you know, something that the community doing, but the community needs to start it. They like take the initiative and get U.S. Soccer involved in a way.
Yeah. And I think MCPS would probably be a good partner. I do like the coaching licensing angle because
coaching training is very important. I agree with
the coaches, that's what you need, right? I need Raphael to want to come out 2 days a week.
Right.
He'll do that for a year because he's a really nice guy, right? But then he's like, my job, my girlfriend, I got this, you know, and we have life. Well, okay, but hey, Raphael, okay, now you're going to get your C license. Now this, and you know what? I also talked to DC United, and you can internship there 1 day a week. And you know,
talk to them for me.
Build that. You build that community and do it that way. You know, because look, once you have your C license, pretty solid. You can definitely go out there and do some coaching.
I guess so. Since you were talking about the licensing, and then me and John have talked about this before, do you think that the licensing, at least how it's structured right now, has kind of causes a barrier because of like the amount of time or the money, especially that it costs to take all those courses and get it? So
yes, it's so brutal. And you look at that course catalog and you try to find time, you know, and I always say the only thing that stops me from loving soccer is soccer, right? Why are you making it so hard for me? How can I take that course when you know I'm a coach? Like, and I'm a coach. I'm taking 2 weeks off. Because I almost got, and I wish I did. I almost got my C license because I played in college. Wouldn't have had to do the E or D back in the day. I could have gone straight to the C. And my wife looks at me and she goes, "Are you kidding me? You think you're spending more time on soccer?" And you know, she really wasn't wrong. Like, I got 3 kids in diapers at home. Like, and you're going to disappear for 2 weeks? I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of want to, but obviously I didn't. but you know, she was right. You're not doing that. Like, you know, and that's when, you know, so like even right now, I look at those calendars. I'm like, nope, I got tryouts starting August 12th. I got, so yeah, it's tough. Now you want it to be all inclusive. You want, but and that's where I it would be great. I don't know what it takes to host your own C course. Right. Could you do it over 4 weeks and do it every, 4 hours in the evening, or do it in a gym? And, quite frankly, we'd go from 8 p.m. to midnight, right? I mean, I would do that, because I can do that and do my job, or whatever it is. But it's so hard. We all have different schedules, But yeah, it's expensive often. And John, I'm in the same boat. So, okay. So ATD very graciously will pay for it, right? And that's $1,200, $1,500, $1,800, whatever it is. But we got to travel there and stay in a hotel.
Yep.
Well, that's not reimbursed, nor should it be. So that's a lot of money. A lot of money. So yeah, it's tough.
That's probably that's a point that could be restructured that you think would help probably get more coaches, which would in turn grow the game. Like,
yeah.
And locally to be able to.
Yeah.
More, and I'm gonna say it, more diversity too, in my opinion. It would bring more diversity in this.
Yeah. Although, you know, and I don't know the numbers. It'd be really interesting. You know, you know, just like look at ATD, right? And not all of us are licensed, but you know, Latino, African American,
Perfect example.
Females, right? You know, awesome. I mean, we have a tremendous mix. You know,
Take a picture of all our staff and be like, send it to you or something. Be like, diversity right here. Use that as your logo.
yeah. You know, it really is. I mean, you know, which is awesome. And you know, and I love soccer in the sense that I don't think, you know, I don't think twice about it. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe you're more conscious, John, than I am about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go, oh, I coach with this black guy named John. Like, you know, like, I don't care at all.
When it comes to soccer, the only thing I'm conscious about soccer is the ball and the game. I don't. None of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. I don't really.
So, you know, and I think that the term colorblind is stupid, but you know, to a degree, and look, let's not be dumb, right? There's prejudice, there's racism, there's judgment everywhere, right? Let's be honest, we all judge, right? Period, right? But I agree with you. Like, I'm on the soccer field, I don't think girl, boy, tall, short, black, what, on the soccer field, and that's a beautiful thing.
When you step on this field with me, I tell them all the time, you better have your game face on. You gotta be able to go.
Right. I mean, I think, and John, part of your coaching, because you do it. By the way, Nicole Letman gave you a very big compliment, but is your passion shows through, right? And I had a dad coach me one time. He goes, I can tell you're passionate. He goes, I don't understand a thing you're saying. He goes, I can tell you're passionate. I'm like, I take that as a compliment. He's like, yeah, you know, it's a compliment. Like, you know, but it's true. Like, hey, it's my happy place. Like, and I tell teams, respect your teammates, because I'm not putting up with any of your stuff, especially with girls teams. You know, because the mean girl crap I will not have. And respect the game. And everything's fine. Everything's fine. And the kids need that. You know, we talk about the mentoring or whatever. I think you know, John will disagree a little bit because I like to yell at John, but you know, I think generally I'm a nice guy out there, but certain things, no. You're not going to talk to a teammate that way. You're not going to talk to me that way, right? And the kids need that because sometimes they're not getting that at home.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we talked about, we already started talking about, you know, some of the things we would like to see some changes regarding, for example, you know, pricing and in the U.S. soccer licenses. So is there anything you want to add in terms of what changes you would like to see? You know, you've been in the game for so long, you've played, you've coached, you've been president, you've been on the board. Are there anything else you would like to see change in the game to make it make it more accessible? I'm going to say accessible.
Yeah, it's interesting because Hope Solo had the really good point of, and say what you will, but she has some very good soccer development thoughts. You know, I know she's had other issues, but she's like, today, I wouldn't be a soccer player because I didn't have the money to pay for that. You know, now she's probably talented enough, somebody would have spotted her and helped her out. But that said, she's right. Like, you see the cost of this stuff, right? So right away, even without our coaching fees, club fee, Soccerplex field fee, right away, that's pricing out what percentage of this county.
Yes.
And by the way, it isn't that I don't have that money to pay for that. I have 5 kids. Not all 5 of them are doing this, right? I mean, these families make decisions. I talk, you know, everyone thinks, oh, everybody in Montgomery County is rich. No. Talk to a lot of very well-grounded people. They're like, Lance, I have 6 kids. You think I'm playing travel soccer with all 6 of them? Like, and they kind of have their shit together. Like, they're going to play classic. They're going to do this. They're going to play rec basketball. They're going to swim. They're going to enjoy sport. And they have a very grounded opinion of it. And hopefully they're good enough in what I may play in high school. They can't afford to have 6 kids playing travel sports. Can you imagine?
Yes.
And how are you going to do that with 2 parents?
Yeah.
Right? It's just no way. And it's just silly. So, yeah, and it's funny. I had a guy at Starbucks say to me, he goes, you know, in our day, Lance, like 1 kid played travel soccer. He goes, what are all these kids doing?
How did you
Kind of selling a lie, right? From my elementary school, I played travel soccer. From my middle school, 3 kids.
Why did you do it with Richmond?
And they were the best, right? And then another kid, great baseball player. Another kid, great basketball player. After that, a couple kids play some high school football. That's it. Right?
So how did you do it with Richmond and your daughters? Like, did you find, I mean, so.
No, I screwed up. Richmond was on the perfect developmental path. It was perfect. Went rec, classic, travel, high school. Beautiful. You know, I didn't push him. He kind of almost pulled me. Right. It was nice because I pick on Richmond. Wasn't like he sucked when he was in 2nd grade. My point was he wasn't like, I want to play soccer. You know, he was not that yet, right? But then with my girls, I brought them to classic because everybody was going to classic. You know, and I always make I love, this shows my maturity level. I love Billy Madison movies. And you know, when he's in or Adam Sandler movies, and Billy Madison, he's like, stay young as long as you can. Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Dale did that to Richmond at a Whitman practice. And you can see that, right? But I always say, stay rec as long as you can. Stay rec.
But in terms of the money aspect, you know, we talk about,
money aspect, rec's cheaper, and rec's a beautiful thing. John, you and I should just go watch a MSI rec game, and you'll go, wow, this is freaking awesome. Parents aren't screaming. People are just, they're getting exercise. And by the way, there's some rec kids that can play.
Yeah.
Right? There's some rec apps.
Mark on the Rapids, I was that rec player. Right?
Yeah. You know, so this whole, and Raphael, that's why I was so happy when you're like, yeah, I played rec. I'm like, it's great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Like, so I think this whole push to classic and travel is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Right? So I think we are almost offering too much.
I think that makes sense. You have to have such a large, you want that large rec basis where you can get as many kids as possible. And then obviously from that, you'll get the talent that shines. They can go.
So they should climb through the ranks based on passion and love.
Thank you.
They're not.
Right.
And so that's the one that I love with my son, Richmond. I think we actually followed that model. Right. He now, yes, part of it was through his dad being a coach and that sort of thing, but he grew to love the game. Right.
Yes.
And it's so awesome. Like, I talked to him on the phone when he was in college, and he's like, and I crossed it, and you would have thought he had played in a World Cup game. He played in a co-ed game at Tulane. But you know what I mean? That's the beauty. That's the beauty. Like, you know, the championship I had the most fun with coaching, my daughter's rec team. Because it was like a kind of a team that we, like, a bunch of girls had quit. So we have all these new players, and I put this team together. It was like, they improved so much. It's like I was more nervous coaching that championship game than high school, like, because I wanted it so bad for those kids. So, you know, any level of play is a great thing, and I think we've lost that. I think that's what we've lost. You know, all these travel leagues are a little bit unnecessary. Right? If everybody stayed rec, that level of play could be quite good.
Right.
Top division of rec would be quite good.
Right, really good. And you, like you say, mix that with coaches being licensed. Bang.
Right.
You create a culture.
How could you ever turn it back now?
Yeah.
So when I coached, so look at John, I think we talked the other day, look at MSI's Classics tryout pages.
Right.
And by the way, we're ATD, we're a professional organization, so this is not a criticism. 1 out of 20 is a parent coach. Everything's professional organizations.
Everything is.
At the classic level, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And by the way, a lot of people go, oh, these Bethesda parents, they just want to brag that their kid. No. Can you imagine being a parent trying to figure this crap out right now? I mean,
I can't even figure it out. Crazy.
I remember I had some woman say to me, I don't know the difference between a league or a club or an MRM or an ECI. And I don't want to learn. I said, you're a very smart lady. You're very smart. Just send your kid and just don't even bother with it. It'll give you a headache. Yeah. So I think it's overdeveloped in Montgomery County, and I would say the entire country. I love that we're organized. I love the kids get the experience of tournaments. I love that, but I hope people aren't fooling themselves that they're playing a top level when they're not. They're spending an awful lot of money that in hindsight, if we go back 20 years, is unnecessary.
Right.
Why leave Montgomery County? Why are you leaving Montgomery County? There aren't enough people here. Not enough good soccer players in Montgomery County? Really? Really?
Yeah,
that should be the purpose of travel soccer. My team traveled because we were that good. Right? I mean, we were that good that, hey, we deserved
the best in Montgomery County. You were the best in Montgomery County.
So we deserved to travel. Okay, that's what we needed, that part of our development.
It's so funny. I have my boys team, and we're playing MSI Academy. Oh, like, oh, coach, we're playing Academy. And I'm like, that's just a name, guys. Yeah. They're just like you. It's just a name, right?
Right. And also, what an overused word.
Academy this, Academy this. I'm like,
I mean, what does academy really mean? To me, you live there, right? Like the Bradenton Academy, you live there. You're playing multiple sports. You have trainers. You're eating. You're educated there, right? So that would be the other answer, John, is let's buy a farm up in Hagerstown and truly create an academy and have 30 coaches live there, and they're getting licensed there and everything, and they sign a contract, and you're going to live here at this academy for 3 years, and when you walk out, you'll be a B-level coach, you'll this, that, and you will have worked here. We'll have guest speakers, we'll have whatever, and get the best players in all of Maryland, Pennsylvania to come there.
Go to the academy.
Right? But that's us then trying to do what everyone else does. We can do it better, right? We can do it better. Everybody, we can do it better. I can do it best. I do it better than Toka. I do it better than Brittam. We can do it better. So then we end up being those same people. Right. Now, I personally believe we can do it better. But
right. And I think I believe that the answer is, in community-based programs. Not that in a given community, you have, competition is good, but you have all these like 10, 20, 30 different academies.
Well, John, question for you. So you grew up in an area where, in some ways, I'm jealous because you were my youth where we went and played pickup, right? We played tackle football. We played, and we could organize games, and we could be playing in 3 seconds. I mean, I'm saying, shut, boom. That's all we did. That's all we did. We had no parents. We had nothing. We just played pickup. So you could do that. And in some ways, I'm quite envious because even take my son, organized practice, organized practice, organized practice, organized practice. Now, often I let them scrimmage and let them be kids and make their own teams and that sort of thing, because I think all that's important. But what are you lacking in that community soccer? Because you actually had community soccer.
Right. It's
right.
A little bit of, I always look back and I was so grateful that I was able to, play pickup like this on any given day.
You walk to the park 3 blocks away, right?
Any given day. I wish we had a little structure. Just a little.
But like that much. I mean, especially until a certain age, right? By through elementary, through 6th grade, 7th grade, you don't really need much structure. It would have been nice, a few Corver moves when you were in second grade, a little bit of this, but you know, you're playing the game and experiencing it, developing your own game, like, you know.
Right. And the beauty about that structure is that, you know, when you bring structure, you don't need like all these different people different people. You have 1-2 people that create the structure, but then if someone doesn't show up in the community, it's like, okay, where were you at? You didn't show up. We were playing at this time of the day. You didn't show up. Where were you at? Okay, I was helping my mom with something. Okay, that's reasonable. I had this to do. But now you're keeping tabs on all these. Well, not keeping tabs on them, but like.
And I know what you're saying.
But you are.
You don't want to lose them.
Right.
Right.
You know where people are. You know that this is the time when we play, when we have fun, and then we go. We do our homework, we do our schoolwork, we go to bed, and we repeat the next day or 2 days after that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so that's one thing. Like with U.S. soccer, what's our style of play? We don't have that. We don't have that culture.
Yeah.
Right. Brazil plays this way. Italians play this way. Germans play. It's so funny because I watched the Man City thing on Amazon. You watched that with Pep, right? And then have you watched the Borussia Dortmund one?
I haven't.
It's subtitled, but it's so funny because you get Pep and he's the German one. You have to be able to run. And I'm like, wow, like, you know, but hey, Germans play nice soccer. The Dutch, they got their issues going on, but they play this, right? What's our, you know, and Klinsmann, I actually love Klinsmann a lot. He made a huge mistake when he said, oh, the U.S., we won't win the World Cup this year. You can't say that to Americans. You can't say that to us. You can't ever say that, right? Right? That's unacceptable. So you want to talk about our culture? We do refuse to lose. Right? Stupidly so sometimes, but we do refuse to lose. He made a big. I was not offended by that because I knew what he was saying, but as an American, I was offended by that. Maybe offended is not right, but I realized I'm like, you shouldn't have said that because
we should know better.
We don't accept losing very well. That's a credit to us. But what is our style of play? What do we have? Right. So that could be generational, but where's it going to come from? I don't know. I love that we are a melting pot. It should be the best of all of that. But what?
We should be the best.
What's U.S. soccer teaching? What are we emphasizing? What? I don't know. Would I know if I took the A license course? No.
No, probably not.
No.
Yeah.
No. And you know, John, it's a valid question to ask Matt. You know, because he's now taken the course. I don't think he's.
It's in my head.
When I say he hasn't passed yet, I don't mean that he hasn't finished it yet. I'm sure he'll pass, but you know, do you have a sense of U.S. soccer? No. If you took that course in Germany, do you think you'd have a sense? Yes.
Yeah.
In Brazil? Yes. Right. Italy? Yes. Right. So, you know, I think that's as much as anything for U.S. national team to be better. What's our identity?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Berhalter is going to get us there either.
Mm-hmm.
Whole other conversation.
And we'll have time for that. So yeah, you know, you've given us a lot of truth, really. You've given us a lot of
I wish I had all the answers.
Even from your own experience, you've given us a lot. You've given us we have now we gotta say, okay, we've touched on these array of topics regarding U.S. soccer. We haven't started the conversation by any means. I'm sure someone else started, or much people started, but I think today we contributed to the conversation in terms of getting more people to think about.
And I think it's, you know, conversation we should keep having.
Yeah,
we need to pressure ourselves to be better, to do more.
All
right, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure, Raphael. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I say, you know, everything
we'll get together and go dancing sometime.
For sure. I don't know, Lance. We might get kicked out. We're like, oh, you with that guy? Like, we don't know him. We don't know him.
I know that guy. You know that guy? I'll be like, John, Raphael. He's ignoring me.
That's not John. Look at me. I get this. No, but thank you again, Lance.
Yeah, thanks for taking
My pleasure. It was great, guys. I appreciate it. It brought back a lot of old thoughts. It was a lot of fun.
And I tell you, you know have 1,000 emails next week. I'm gonna put a link to his email. If you got a hate mail, send it to him. No, but I'm hoping we can get together again and talk on another topic because you seem to have experience and truth and.
Well, we could do an intense coaching one, John.
And I would love that.
Like youth team. Like I have certain things we've learned and certain ways of doing everything, and parents and refs and we could have like an intense kind of coaching one, which I think would be really good.
All right, guys. This was the podcast. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great weekend, John. We'll be in touch next week.
Perfect. All right.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Bye now.